Cut through the dark, slice stories of life. Whisper shiver down the hall tonight. Phantoms aching for a chance to ignite.
Welcome in. This is Oops All Ghosts. Rob here with my friend Lee. He's been telling me these awesome ghost paranormal stories of his, and the fact that he's given the ability to tell it personally on the channel, I want to say a big thank you. Welcome in, Lee. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Rob. Thank you, mate. You're welcome.
So you were telling me your story about orbs you saw in the middle of the night, right?
But like you say, they collection a few little stories, aren't they? But nothing too out there or scary or anything. But I've seen that much garbage and lies coming over the YouTube and these videos the last few weeks that I thought, I'd rather hear something, a decent story that was true than something that was, Hollywood but blatant lies. So that's what made me get on the internet and reach out to you. It's quite out of the ordinary for me to even do this sort of thing, really. Yeah. These stories are not something that I've hid away. I've shared them with my own family over the years, but I've never put them out to the internet, the public, or anything like that.
You were saying you've only told 2 people in your life these stories.
No, I've told a couple of people in my family. They're not things that I've kept to myself, but I've never told anybody outside of my own personal circle. Until now, when I reached out to you, but as I say, just sick and tired of seeing a load of bullshit on the internet. I thought I'd put my 10 pence into the mix because it is actually true.
Yeah, and like you're saying, you got a couple of your own stories there, and I'd love to hear them. Is there one that you'd specifically like to start with?
Probably say the one with my dad, because I was probably the youngest then, and as I say, my dad brought me up to not believe in anything like that. He was very like, if I ain't seen it, it's not real. My dad's probably still 50-50 on dinosaurs, to be honest with you. And I remember him telling me word for word, believing in God's love, believing in Mickey Mouse, son. So, I had to go the long way around and find everything out for myself, the hard way. And bearing in mind, he's that sort of a man and he dragged me to be that way. I remember being out fishing with him when I was 13, 14 on a river, and he's popped down to his friend who's a good 2 or 3 fields away, left me on my own. I'm sitting there thinking, John Rambo with my little penknife, trying to be brave. And I don't know what made me notice it. I'm just glancing out across the field to a tree line, 2 or 3 fields back, and the stars are sitting in like a certain formation, and there's this one that looks like too big and bright to be a star, and next thing you know, it's moved somewhere else. And I thought, that's not a star, it's moving across the sky. It's what you'd call it a UFO, but it was too low and too small. It's like not up with the stars, but it looked like it was because of how in the distance it was happening, sort of thing. In the end, I've got this horrible eerie feeling come over me watching this happen in front of me, so I ran down to my dad, panicking. It was hilarious because of how steep the riverbank was. He was telling me, Lee, he was coming down that bank like the Exorcist, like a crab, with your hands behind you, stopping you from falling, crawling down this riverbank, so I'm petrified. And he's laughed his head off and made me the brunt of the joke, and that was the end of it until 3 or 4 days later. I remember him coming in from work. He was a roofer by trade, another lot, I know nonsense sort of guy. And he said, Lee, I owe you an apology. He said, I've just heard on the radio, there's about 20 odd reports in Worcester that night that people had seen something floating in the sky. He said, I apologise, you did see something. So, that was one thing. And, I was around the same age, 13, 14. It was me and 2 friends of mine. One of them was the same age as me, and he's turned into my brother-in-law now. So I can get him to confirm this story for you. And the older lad, our third friend, he was about 17, 18 at the time. He was out doing graffiti in the middle of the night, up to no good, like his kids are at that age. And we cut him through the river out of sight and all that. And there's a tiny little property built on the riverside, lovely little cottage type thing. And to get to it, you have to go down a long gravel path. It's a tunnel of trees, overhanging trees, in a nice tunnel formation. So we're cutting through the path towards the cottage, towards the river, and the field next to us. Obviously, there's no lights because you're on a river, but the moonlight is really bright that night, I remember, so there was good visibility out onto the field. And I remember noticing, but not registering and not far from scaring me at this point, though, a patch of mist on the grass. Normally, when you look out in the morning, you see the whole field is covered in that light mist, and it where the water vapour collects. This was like that, but only in one tight area, about 8 foot, 10 foot patch on the grass. I paid no attention to it and walked about over 100 yards down this path before I glanced aside again. Far enough that we shouldn't have still been able to see this mist. But it was right next to me on the field, like, near enough where I'd seen it previously. As I looked back at it, it was like it either recognised or I noticed it, or it was coming onto the path anyway, and I just happened to look at it at the right time. But as I looked at this patch of mist, it came from off the field, drifted onto the gravel path where we were. And like I said, imagine when you drop a paper bag or a feather piece of paper, it doesn't just fall to the ground, it sort of flutters in the wind sort of thing. This cloud was fluttered to the left side of the path, then fluttered to the right, back to the left again. But as it was doing this, it was coming forward as it was going left to right. That's when my panic set in, and I tapped my friend on the shoulder, my friend who was my age. He's looked back, and it's pretty close to us at this point, no more than 6 foot away from us. He's panicked instantly as well, and we just bolted, without even saying anything to each other. We just ran. Our other friend was 10, 13, whatever footsteps in front of us. We went either side of him and brushed past him as we ran. He, at this point, don't know what's going on. We've gone, look. He's looked back now to see what we're running from, and as he looked back, we did, because we were trying to show him what to be scared of. And when I looked back, I remember seeing the cloud was still as it was, but coming from the cloud was the top half of a human being. From the waist up, it had a human shape to it. There was no features, no nothing like that. You couldn't see if it had hair or a hat. Just there was a head, shoulders, hat and arms, and it sort of turned back into a cloud again at the waist. But it was still doing this left to the right, and forward as it's thing. We ran. I didn't look. We only had a quick split glance at it and carried on running, sort of thing. This lad was so scared by whatever it was. He overtook us running. The older kid. We've all ran to the end of this gravel path. By the time panicking, by the time we got to near the cottage by the river, the security light came on. That's when we almost have got brave enough to stop and have a look back and see if it was still chasing us. And it weren't. So I hung around to see if it appeared again, and nothing ever came out of that path. I don't know when it stopped or when it disappeared or what, or if it was still right next to us and we just couldn't see it anymore. But we got out of there sharpish, and that was the end of the graffiti for the night. So me and my friend my age went to my house, and the older lad went home. When we got home, my dad was still doing his thing with one of his older friends, having a drink, watching some boxing or whatever they was doing, I don't know. But I just turned into the house now, white as a ghost, panicking, spilled my guts to my dad, told him everything that had just happened. And his friend, who, there's 2 areas where we live, you get different council estates that you get shard ended where we live, and the next estate over is Lee Village, which this sort of a path, what I'm talking about in the cottage, falls on their side of the border. And his friend knew all about what I was talking about straight away. He said, that's the white lady, she's called the white lady, we all know about her. And this guy's in his 50s, he was been to prison how many times. These people don't tell lawyers about anything really, let alone stuff like that. So I knew that what we'd just seen on that path was definitely real, and other people had seen her as well. But this older lad that was with us that night, he used to love winding me up, he did, about anything paranormal, because he knew I couldn't have anything to do with it or petrified of it. I'd rather be locked in a house with a tiger, because I could jump out of a window and maybe escape. But ghosts can go through walls and do all sorts of shit that just I didn't even know talking about it. So he'd wind me up saying his room was haunted, he's had something, this old man in his top hat was watching in the corner on the night. His pencils on the side of his cabinet would roll backwards and forwards, but there was them hexagon ones, there was flat on every side, so they shouldn't be able to move anyway, and let alone going one way and then back the other. I always used to think he'd be winding me up. Maybe, you know, there would be a grain of truth in it somewhere, because he probably wouldn't be saying it, but I'll probably be doing it for more benefit more than anything, basically. But around this time that all this has gone on, I saw the white lady on the path. I'm sitting in the bedroom, late one night, playing computer games at 10, 11 o'clock on the night. The bedroom lights are on, and the lights on in the lady's name was the other side of the bedroom door, vacuuming the hallway outside, so it's not like one of those spooky, eerie moments like where you think something's going to happen. And I'm sitting closest to the bedroom door on a chair, and he's on his bed next to me. And I can't remember, something caught my attention, but I've looked to the side towards the door, and there was a pair of his trousers hung up on the outside of the wardrobe, and they still had the belt running through the loops where he'd been wearing them. And it was like someone had a piece of fishing line tied to the trousers, tugging it to the ceiling in little sharp jerks, and the tapping was the belt buckle tapping the ceiling 3 or 4 times, and it dropped as if it had been let go. But I watched this in front of my eyes lift again with this jerky motion, and the belt buckle tap on the ceiling, and as if it had been let go again. I was so scared by what I was watching. All the hairs on my neck were standing up, and it was like all the skin on my neck was burning. He must have noticed something was wrong with me. Started asking what was wrong, and I just remember mumbling and pointing over to the corner. He called his man, who opened the bedroom door. I remember running out of the house, and I've never been in there in the night time ever since, at all.
You've never been in that room ever since?
No. But like, I am convinced that these events are more to do with him than me, really, because I've never had this sort of thing happen to me in the 13 years before this, and I'm 40 years old. I've never had anything really scare me like that after. So, look, these things, like you say, they're years and years old stories. It's not like something that I'd go through ever again. Like, so that makes me think both events, he was there, and he used to tell me about his room was haunted anyway. So, you know, I think he was the one that attracted it, or the one that was sensitive to it, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
And if I heard that right, that was your dad, right? Or was that your friend?
No, it's not my dad. That's the older friend. That is.
The older friend.
That's the older friend who used to watch that.
And is that the same older friend that was with you with the cloud figure?
Yes. Wow. That's what I mean. That's so, look, but going on the thingy that I've never had any events before or after, and I don't hang around with the kid anymore, but I bet you if you go and speak to him, he still hears bumps in the night.
Yeah, like, is there more occasions for your older friend there with such situations? Like, the figure you saw, you said half of its body was human-like, and the other half was cloud-like.
Yeah. And when I got home to my mum and dad's house, my dad and his friend were sitting up at the dinner table. His friend knew all about these ghosts, and it even had a name. It's called the White Lady. I don't know whether they call it a lady because the bottom, the cloud resembles a dress, like flowy dress, when with the top half of the finger. I don't know if you carry on looking at it, it turns into a full apparition or whatever. I won't hang on how to find out.
Well, oh man, that was just like, and you were there to see that, or was that one of your dad's? Yeah. Wow. No, that was that time that happened to me. But look, I said to you just before we spoke, didn't I? This is something that, like, you know, I tell people if I think I might be interested, because like you said, it's true. I don't know about anything in my life really, and I don't even watch films or read books if they're not based on truth. I don't want to read books or watch films even about made up characters doing made up things. So I definitely wouldn't waste more time or yours telling you a made up story. And my sons, I've got 3 sons, 13, 10 and 3. So I don't scare them with things like this yet. You know, they've got all their life to get scared about things and let them be children, innit? But I'm walking from my house to my sister's house one day with my son, and we have to cut through this section of the river, and we pass that house on the riverside. We don't go down the gravel path. The gravel path shoots off up past the property. We carry on along the river, we do, when we go into my sister's. But bearing in mind, I haven't told my son anything about this event, nothing, because
like I said, I don't like scaring. And we're walking back from my sister's, just the two of us. As we about 50 yards from the cottage, it's getting a bit dark now, and what's now, he grabbed hold of my hand all tight and got close to me. So I thought he'd seen something like a fox or something had bustled in the bushes. What scared this one? What's wrong? And I kid you not, now, out of the blue, he said, I don't know, Dad, but every time we walk past this part of the river, I feel like we're being watched or followed. He said, I don't know what it is. He said, it don't feel nice. And straight away, look, that story, we're just about to go straight past this gravel path that I was chased down as a kid myself. So it's too much thingy. I don't know, yeah. But as well, so if you get across the bridge onto my side of the river, the feeling disappears. It's weird. And I've asked a couple of people about it, and now they said they experience the same thing as well.
And it's just a feeling you guys get when you go over the bridge. It's just like...
How about this, Rob? I don't know what to make of this, and it might be a bit random, but I asked both of my sisters. I asked one of my friends, yeah, and my friend is, he sits on the wrong side of the law. He's not someone, like, who gets scared very easily, like, do you know what I mean? You could put him into, like, a very hostile situation, and, like, he keeps his calm, sort of thing. So I asked him, I said, you know, you're not scared to go and walk through Brixton in London, but do you get an eerie feeling walking down that little bit of the river? And I told you, we call it the witch's house, because the feeling that you get when you walk past it. And he said, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then my son said that. So I asked both my sisters, because they, you know, frequent that part of the river. Both of them turned around and said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. The only people I've asked, and they've said, yeah, they've all been male. I don't know if that's something to do with it, or I could ask another woman if you want to say yeah, but the two women I've asked have both said no.
And do you think, like, your sister's ever been put in a paranormal situation? Have they ever told you any stories?
No.
No,
nothing scary.
Right. That's crazy. You and males, you know, are the only ones that feel that kind of energy in that
only
specific
when you walk
area.
yeah, it's like it's something's happening. It's like unholy ground or something. It's weird feeling that you get, but only on that one little stretch of the river, and it's only on the one side. You could be like parallel to this area, but on this side of the water, and it feels like something from Lord of the Rings. But you go over there, and it feels like something from fucking Wrong Turn.
Wow. And this is like walking daytime, or is it like a night?
No, you never get the feeling in the daytime. It's funny you said that, because I walked down there on purpose the other day, in the day, because it's completely normal in the daytime. It's quite nice over there. It's something I've only ever felt it on the night time.
So you're walking in the middle of the night, and you just get this like eerie presence. You're being watched. And then it just goes away.
Only for a very small section of the river, yeah, while you buy the house, and then it goes again. But other people I've asked have said the same thing happens to them, yeah. And my sister's boyfriend as well, like I said, who's my age, who had that experience with me as kids. I've asked him, you know, do you still get that on that bit of the river? And he said, yeah, I'll go the long way home sometimes to avoid it. Like, that's what he said to me. He's 40 years old. He's not scared.
Wow. What, like, a weird phenomena that is. Like, it's these stories are not just like you, but like with your friends and family members. Like, that's wild to have that connection together of I want to say the paranormal or whatever it is. That is crazy.
Do you know what? There's a thing here as well. It'll have nothing to do with it, but it's an interesting fact. It's a very old river. It's the River Cole that runs through Birmingham, and J.R. Tolkien used to live just upstream from us, and it was that river that he based it all about on, the hobbits and the what's not. That was where he used to frequent as a child and stuff. That's where he was inspired for Lord of the Rings, the river I'm talking about.
Wow. Do you have any more stories of to share with us there, Lee?
I'd keep my other thingy that I shared with you private, because like it's involves religious beliefs.
We don't have to. You don't have to share it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's a bit religious, isn't it? I don't know, share religious beliefs on it, because everybody's Indian.
That's all right, man. I really appreciate you taking this time. to hang out and tell these stories with us, all of us.
It looks. This is very out of the ordinary for me. I've never even owned anything to do with social media. I've never had a Facebook account, no Twitter, no nothing. I've never even created one. I've not wanted to. I'm not that way as a person. I'm quite proud of it. I don't know what made me thingy, but yeah, I just wanted the truth out there, really. But I've shared the story so many times with people I know because it's, stayed with me over the years. And I still get the eerie feeling now when I walk past there. My sons ask me all the time. But they always ask me when we walking past there, and they're like, Dad. And I'm like, I'll tell you in the house, and we never get round to it, though. But yeah, I think they do. They know something went on there now. My sons do themselves. It's a mad story that keeps cropping up in my life, so.
Yeah, the fact that like you and your son can chat about it and just be like, we feel it, there's something there.
But you know what, well, the only reason I speak to my sons about it now is because I had that encounter with the Lord, and now I know how to, I'm not scared so much anymore. I feel open, more comfortable to expose them to that sort of thing now. Look, where it's like, I didn't tell my son because I didn't want to scare them. Now I feel comfortable to them because we're believers of the Lord now. We follow Jesus Christ. So
well, that's really good for you, man. Like just have that growth there, and life seemed to throw you into where you sound like a happy person, Yeah,
it's brilliant. Look, so I grew up in a household where I always told God was akin to Mickey Mouse, and went a long way around to finding out the truth and being happy and comfortable. But luckily for my sons, I can tell them stories like this and end it with we're protected by the Lord and nothing like that can harm us.
Right. Alrighty, Lile, I'll let you go for the night. I know it's pretty late where you're at here. And I want to say again, thank you so much. The fact that like you went out of your way as somebody who doesn't do this stuff and you reached out to me, I want to say a huge thank you.
Yeah, look, I was sick and tired of hearing all the bullshit on the internet, and you've got a brand new channel yourself. You see, the first time I looked at your thingy, a few interviews that you did, you was a respectful guy, and I thought, I'd like to put my 10 pence into someone like that to help him, his channel grow, and hopefully one day you get somewhere and you'll be, the next big thing on the internet, Mr. Ballin or whatever, you ran it for. But I'd like to say, I helped that guy when he was, nobody.
Oh, this is great. This is exactly what I was hoping this podcast to be, is just like real people telling what they saw and felt, and like, dude, I felt like I was there with you some moments, Yeah,
look, like I said, when you live through something, it's easy to recall that moment and very vivid to you, and thingy, you could call me in a year or two from now, I'd tell you the same story word for word. Like it's thingy, if you're going to make something up, it makes it a bit more juicier and scarier as well, wouldn't you? Nothing really happened. We just it's just one of those things. But it was real, and there was more than one of us that seen it as well. So sometimes I'm glad nothing really happened. I'm glad there was nothing more exciting to say.
Right? Like, you never want, like, injuries or bad stuff happen to you. Just, like, a little bit of a spook is, like, sort of nice in a horrible way.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks again, Lee. Have a good night.
All right, man.
Bye. I just hung up on him. I feel so bad. Lee, if you see this, I'm so sorry for hanging up on you. Once again, thank you so much for sharing. If you guys got a story you'd like to share on Oops All Ghosts, we'd love to have you on. Just hop on. I just want to listen, hear your story. Thanks again for tuning in. We kind of hit the end here. If you want to share, our email is oopsallghosts@gmail.com, or hit me up in any of the social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Have a spooky night, guys. Thanks for watching.